giving you a sneak peek into what she does. And hopefully we'll have some time for some questions, but thank you again for having us. We'll start with who we are. In terms of what we do, so we are a B2B enterprise software company. We just hit 1,000 employees last year, and we're also global. So we actually have 24 offices across 19 countries. We had a quarterly company-wide meeting earlier this year, and something that our CEO shared was he was really proud to be a company that's truly global. So even though most of our employees are in the US, about 300, 350 in North America. Depending on the role and division you're a part of, you definitely get to interact with your global colleagues on a pretty regular basis. We've actually been named the leader in our industry by Gartner Magic for 11 years in a row. So it's something that we're really proud of. But on top of that, we're open source. We have about close to 5 to 6 million downloads worldwide. We are this way because when the founders started Liferay, they wanted to be a company that gave back. So as you can see, we do have a greater than profit vision. We give employees 5 days paid off to volunteer at organizations, charities, nonprofits that they're excited about. And on top of that, Liferay donates 10% of our profits to charities around the world. And Liferay's been doing that for about a decade now. So that's a little bit more about us, just a quick snapshot. I'll have Noemi share a little bit more about our solutions and our software.
Cool, thanks, Grace. So there's a couple of logos here on the slide. So I'll just go through them kind of quickly to give you an overview of what each one of these products are. So these are all in-house products that are developed at Liferay. So starting with the first one, the Liferay Digital Experience Platform, or DXP for short. This is kind of our bread and butter. This is our portal software that we use to build our solutions over top of for our clients. So it is highly extensible, all open source, as Grace was mentioning. We do have both community editions and enterprise editions of the software available. So just to give you a quick idea of what that's about. Then we have Liferay Dxp Cloud. So this is our cloud offering wherein we can host Liferay Dxp instances on our servers for our customers. So when a customer signs up for the DXP Cloud offering, they get a nice user-friendly sort of experience to manage their DXP platform on our servers. So quick rundown of that. And then we have our Liferay Commerce offering, which as of the latest version of DXP is now bundled with it. In our 7.3 version. So this is basically a commerce tool that supports both B2B and B2C commerce experiences for our customers. So it contains things like shopping carts, catalogs, accounts, things like that, so that our customers can use that to drive like online stores and online shopping experiences. And then finally, we have Liferay Analytics Cloud. This is basically our analytics offering that can be integrated with DXP Commerce and DXP Cloud to provide analytics for our customers so that they can see how a user's journey on their site progresses, what promotional materials are useful to drive business into the site, what things they can improve based on the analytics they receive from this. It's very easy to set up, again, has a nice UI dashboard for our customers to use when they purchase the product to be able to manage that and analyze the data. So moving here, we've got over 1,800 enterprises, different industries that use Liferay, including banking, healthcare, government, retail, manufacturing, insurance. Some of the logos down there are our clients that we've done previous implementations for. And there's many more beyond these, of course, but we've implemented everything from commerce sites to company intranets to customer dashboards for these customers. So it's quite a wide variety of things that our customers use DXP for and are able to leverage all of the functionality that we bring to the table with it.
Awesome. And what you're hearing, hopefully, is, we're super solutions oriented and we're also customer centric. And again, it goes back to our mission of giving back. So like I said earlier, we offer service hours. We also offer grant funds. So after 6 months of employment, employees are also given $500 to donate to a cause that they care about. And then again, really big about serving our community, even beyond our client base. Last year, or in total, we served 700 nonprofits. We volunteered 26,000 plus hours, and then we donated $830,000 so far. This is a quote from our CEO. Writing a check is easy, but giving your time and your heart is even better. So this is our DNA, really giving back, and it bleeds into how we serve our customers and even our products, how it's really service and solutions oriented to make our customers' lives easier. To conclude, just a little bit more about us is our mission and value. So it's lead by serving, valuing people, growing and get better, producing excellence. And then finally, we like to stay nerdy. So we definitely encourage people from all backgrounds to share their passions, their interests. We definitely have that welcoming environment. So I know, I'm not sure if everyone's a computer science student, but I definitely wanted to spend some time for you to peek into Noemi's experience at Liferay and exactly what she does. So I'll let her take it from here.
Cool. Thanks, Grace. So I just really wanted to use this section to kind of give you guys an idea of what it is that I do on a daily basis at Liferay. So we'll start with the broader pieces, I guess, the projects and that I've worked on and the responsibilities that I have at Liferay in my role. So I've worked on a variety of different project implementations across several different industries, including B2C and B2B commerce implementations, implementations for insurance, finance, so like banks, government, so that's like state government level, corporate intranets, and market research demonstrations. So this includes the Gartner MQ that Grace mentioned before. We do demonstrations for them to basically show them the latest that our product has to offer. So I've worked on those in the past as well. Some of my responsibilities, it's quite a long list. I don't want to go through all of them just because I might bore you. But that's a quick slice of what I do on a day-to-day basis. A lot of it is heads down development, in addition to having customer-facing responsibilities. So doing requirements gathering and things like that, making sure that we're capturing what our client needs for the particular solution that we're building out for them, as well as providing, support to the team, doing code reviews, testing, writing technical documentation, doing research, and then as of late doing tech lead activities. So interfacing with stakeholders at a higher level on our projects, and then prioritizing work for developers, removing blockers and things like that.
Cool. So basically, Noemi is a big deal.
You're too kind, Grace. So moving on to kind of drilling down into a little bit more the technologies and tools that I use on a day-to-day basis. So technologies, Java, the bread and butter of Liferay. Our platform is written on Java with a couple of other front-end technologies working with it in concert. But as a developer and, global services consultant, Java is the main thing that I work with since I specialize in back-end work. MySQL, usually the database of choice. We do have customers that use other databases like Postgres, for example, but it depends on the implementation. Typically, we go with MySQL. Elasticsearch, that's integrated with Liferay to do our search capabilities. So knowing Elasticsearch, how to leverage it, being able to extend it is very important. Docker and Kubernetes. This is a little bit under the hood of what DXP Cloud uses, as well as Analytics Cloud. So just familiarity with that and being able to, debug it, understand how it works is very important. OSGI, we use this to handle our dependency injection in the portal. So very, very crucial to understand how that functions. I included SAML in here as well, just because a lot of our customers do use SAML to handle authentication into the portal. That's something that we support. So being familiar with that connector, familiar with the underlying code of how that works is very important. Some tools that I use pretty often, Gradle, Maven build tools, both very important. Depending on the type of solution that we're implementing for the customer, they will choose one or the other. So it's important to be familiar with both. GitHub, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Version control, got to have it. Jenkins, we use this to run like our continuous integration processes and build processes for our Git PRs and things like that. So very important to know how that functions under the hood. Database viewers, so this is things like MySQL Workbench, pgadmin, and the use case of Postgres, just knowing how to use those to be able to manage the database, as well as communications tools, so Slack, G Suite, Zoom. I'm sure you guys are familiar since you've been doing remote schooling for a while, how important those things are to be able to stay connected with your team and make sure you guys are all on the same page. Some personal highlights of my time at Liferay. I created some in-depth SAML documentation that has been used to help several other project teams set up and troubleshoot their own SAML implementations. So that's super awesome because it just really demonstrates again that we are very community oriented at Liferay. So if somebody figures something out, we're encouraged to write it down and share it with others so that they can use it, right? No need to reinvent the wheel. We're all on the same team. We're all working together. So, let's share our solutions with one another. I recently obtained my Docker Certified Associate certification, and I've been acting as a point of contact for Docker related questions. So that's been really cool, using Docker on a daily basis, but then also being able to answer questions for people who are a little bit less familiar with Docker. And also something I'm sort of known for is being able to guide clients and non-technical resources through highly technical concepts. So essentially being able to take a concept that is highly technical, sort of break it down into terms that they can understand and follow, so that when we're going through implementation requirements gathering, they don't get overwhelmed by technical jargon that may make it a little bit difficult for them to understand kind of what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, right? So being able to ease them through that process is definitely a specialty of mine. So something I'm very proud of.
Awesome. And then I know we'll have some time for questions. So if you have a lot of questions for Noemi, we will save that for later. So thank you so much. I wanted to share a little bit more about our internship program as well. So I'm the talent acquisition partner at Liferay. I do oversee full cycle recruitment, not just for interns, but all the way to director levels. But one of my favorite parts of the job is actually hosting our internship program in the summer. Last year was 100% remote. This year will unfortunately be remote again, but I definitely think we were able to figure out ways to feel connected, to make sure our interns feel connected. Hopefully summer 2022 is in person. But our internship program recruiting cycle begins in the fall semester. So you will most likely see us attending the CPP career fairs. We typically like to attend the career recruiting season in the fall. We have 6 to 8 summer internship positions every year. It is paid. And then on top of that, we provide personal development. So you have mentors, you will be leaving the internship program with completing a project. And then internship programming would be getting to also socialize, not within just your department, but also interns from other departments. So last year, we had interns from technical support, as well as design. This year would be marketing and software engineering. Typically, the interview process would be a recruiter screen or a hiring manager screen. So when we meet you at the fair, that's considered a screen for us. Noemi typically attends the fairs as well. And then we have a technical challenge. And then finally, you get to interview with the team in a more formal setting. So it's typically about an hour and a half. We do receive about 1,000 resumes every cycle. So it is quite busy for us. And as you can see, we only have 6 to 8 summer internship positions. So it is a pretty rigorous program, especially because even though this internship won't be client facing, we also assess if you can potentially be in front of clients, or if this is a fit for you in terms of being a part of software consulting as opposed to only software development. Noemi, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't think so. I think you rounded it out pretty well.
Okay, perfect. So last summer, one of our favorite events. So I had a survey last summer. Our intern said their favorite event was actually coffee with the CEO. The CEO sat with us for about an hour and a half. We did send out Starbucks gift cards to everyone. So we had everyone pick up coffee prior to the event. And everyone got to introduce themselves, get to know the CEO personally, the origin story of Liferay. And then the CEO also shared his personal journey and career highlights. So that was one of the few events that we've had, but this was the favorite one, on top of doing different workshops like LinkedIn networking, resume review, and reflection time as well. So definitely a favorite. At the end of the internship, we had the students do a word cloud. So if you're familiar with word clouds, it's basically the bigger the word, the more words were inputted. So as you can see, you see collaboration, team, experience. Those were the 3 keywords that all of the interns said repeatedly. And then you can see obviously Java, real world application, learning, mentor, team player. So that's what we hope to have our interns get out of the experience, is being able to apply what you're learning in school in an industry setting, but also learning what it means to collaborate with others, whether it is someone within your department or even interns outside of your respective division. So I thought this was really special and definitely wanted to share that with you. And that is everything for us. I know we still have some time for questions, so I definitely want to leave the rest of the time for any questions that you might have, whether it's about Liferay, maybe what Noemi does in particular, and then also if you have any questions about how to make your resume stand out or how to just stand out in general for any of our internship programming, you can definitely ask that. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And we are here to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, thank you guys for the presentation on your guys' company and whatnot. I think you guys covered key aspects of like, what a company and how, they should operate. And yeah, so in terms of questions, Dewan already, and yeah, this is what I wanted to mention about questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or just unmute your mic. Either one is fine. So Tuan asked, I guess this is directed to Noemi. Why do you want to work as a global services consultant, and how technical should you be compared to a software engineer?
So for me, consulting is really kind of a special balance between doing technical work that is strictly development, right? So in the shoes of like a software developer, and also being client facing. And I think that is kind of it's a good way to diversify your skill set, right? Because there's some skills that as a software developer, especially being client facing, you wouldn't otherwise learn. So it gives you a good opportunity to not only flex your technical muscle, but then you can also then pick up those soft skills, right? So like being able to talk through clients regarding really highly technical topics. I think that's really special. And it also adds an extra layer of being able to serve clients, but in a different way, right? So sometimes being able to handle a client's pain points are not always going to be able to be solved by writing an elegant piece of code. Like I wish that's what it was, but unfortunately that's not always the case. So being able to sit down and, you know, talk them through something that is really troubling or helping them arrive to a solution that is maybe not so technical focused, I think is a really special thing to be able to do that you wouldn't normally get to do outside of consulting. So that's for me the biggest reason why I chose to go into consulting, because you can help people in a multitude of ways, and you can help your clients in a multitude of ways. In terms of the technical skill level that you should have compared to a software engineer, I think for engineers, it's obviously a bit more demanding because that is the job as a whole. But at Liferay specifically, where all of our consultants are very technical. So every consultant that you speak to has written code and is capable of writing code. A lot of our solutions are custom over top of Liferay Dxp or Liferay Commerce. So a lot of this stuff requires that we write code from scratch. So while the job isn't just writing code, you still need to be very comfortable in that technical role to be able to, you know, write the code, follow the SDLC process and everything like that, just the same way that a software engineer would.
Great, thank you. I think kind of like the way you broke it down, I think it really just shows the uniqueness of that position you're in, you know, as a global services consultant, because, you know, software engineers, obviously they're talented and, you know, they can be in that, you know, sort of, they can make products for clients, but I think being in that, you know, consultant position, you're really in like the position where you're the layer between what, you know, the code or solutions you have and, you know, the client and what they need. And, you know, that's very important in order to come up with a solution that's viable for a client's specific purpose or problem. So yeah, I think you kind of like explained that well. And I think it is a pretty valuable position in my opinion. So Kayla asked in the chat, what does Liferay look for in an intern?
I guess we both can answer that.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. So we look for, as I shared, we do receive a lot of applicants. Obviously, resume first. We definitely like to bring in folks that are at least juniors. So we don't bring in freshmen and sophomores, typically because we do, depending on how you perform in the internship program, we want to be able to convert you to full-time. And if there's an open headcount, pretty closely, right? So if you start out as a freshman, sophomore, you won't be able to start until 2 or 3 years later. So that is why we strictly like to bring in juniors and seniors. So that's like the first one. You do not necessarily have to be a computer science major. We have one intern where it's a career change. He's starting in the summer. I remember he's a UCLA economics major and he's self-taught developer. He passed our technical challenge. So we brought him into the interview process, and we bring in folks that are not computer science majors because sometimes computer science majors don't pass a technical challenge, right? So we're really open. And on top of that, as you know, we love giving back. So we love to see how you personally give back, whether it's in your resume or if you're drawn to our mission. So we do this not just for interns, but pretty much every candidate we come across. We care about that. So whether it's leadership or volunteering, you know, we actually have a Cal Poly Pomona student starting this summer. and she is I believe she's a VP for She Codes. So that's something that stood out to us. Obviously, you have to pass a technical challenge, and we have the interview process where they ask more technical questions. So the technical abilities is something that we definitely assess. But outside of that is, do you care about giving back? Do you care about serving others? Especially because, as Noemi described her role, it's about serving clients. So all of that is kind of embodied into what we look for.
I think just to add a little bit to that as well, something that at least I know that I look for, as well as some of the other recruiters for the internship look for, is, are you like a good team player? Are you a collaborator? Are you someone who is a good communicator? Because as you guys probably know, because of the current situation that we're all in, being able to communicate with your peers across different platforms, right? Whether that be video chat, whether that be text chat, like in a Slack message, whether that be in a meeting, in person, being able to communicate what you need and what you're kind of working on and how you might be able to help somebody is crucial. So we definitely look for that, good communicators, people who are going to be good team players and collaborators, because our environment is very collaborative.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you actually mentioned that, Noemi, because a lot of people may possess technical skills, and they may learn how to code in like 3, maybe even 4 languages. They may even know like different frameworks outside those languages. But I think the communication aspect and the collaborative aspect is very important, because that's kind of like the heart and soul, especially of like a company like your guys is that depends heavily on like someone has this task to handle, and then another person splitting up the tasks very evenly amongst the whole team. It's going to take a lot of communication, and you can't have that really be halted with poor communication and whatnot, right? So I definitely get that. So I don't know if anyone else. Okay, go on, ask another question. Can you explain what exactly goes into some of the frameworks you've described and how you utilize it, like how you mentioned OSGI, SAML, Elasticsearch, etc.?
Sure. So these frameworks are all frameworks that Liferay uses, the portal itself uses. So like I mentioned before, having an understanding is super important, but basically you need to have a functioning understand. I know I keep using the word understanding, but that's really the best word to use for this is having a really solid understanding of how OSGI works, right? So understanding how all the different annotations work, how your dependencies are going to get injected, where they get injected, how they get injected, really just knowing the tool inside and out, because a lot of times that can be a blocker for our clients because they don't necessarily understand OSGI that well. It may be their first time using it as a tool. So being able to know how it works, what it does, how it behaves in certain situations is crucial, I would say, if you're doing any sort of development in Liferay. So for that, just again, understanding annotations and everything. For SAML, I would say the biggest thing is understanding how the headers come into play. So SAML headers, those contain data that the user is basically sending to Liferay when they authenticate, how that data is then being used within the portal, right? What fields are we extracting from that header? So being able to understand, where that information is coming from, how it gets built, how it gets sent through Liferay and everything like that. And Elasticsearch, that is our search engine in the portal. So any type of searching that you're doing in the portal is going to be handled by Elasticsearch. And Elasticsearch has a huge amount of documentation available. It's got tons of features. It handles synonyms. You can do search ranking. You can do all these sorts of things with it. And you're not going to know everything about the tool because it does cover such a huge variety of search behaviors, but understanding how the queries are put together under the hood of the portal is super crucial, because then you can understand why certain search behavior is happening. You can understand why the index is being populated in a certain way. So just, I guess really the main overarching thing here is being willing to dig into the tools, reading the documentation, really understanding them at a fundamental level, tinkering around with them on your own as you're trying to figure out what you need to do for a client implementation. All these different frameworks kind of fall into that same category where it's a huge topic, so you're not going to need to know everything, but you should know the basics really, really well, and you should be able to execute those basics really, really well.
Yeah, I think you definitely said it right, because it's just about, I think you mentioned like going through like, the documentation and trying to, learn these frameworks. And I was actually going to ask this question as well, as Juan brought up the frameworks. I know in the presentation, you kind of listed all those frameworks that you have a specialty in. And I'm assuming like you didn't like learn every single one of those frameworks in college. Like you probably learned, like obviously like a backend language like Java in college, but those other frameworks, like learning the MySQL database and even like using Docker, for example, how are you kind of able to, learn these different frameworks? And
Yeah, really good point. Because I think you're right. A lot of people don't come out of school knowing OSGI, right? Like if you went around and randomly pulled students and asked them what OSGI was, they'd probably look at you like a deer in headlights. But I think a lot of that goes into, having a willingness to learn, and not only having that willingness, but spending the time doing the learning on your own, because a lot of this, right, you don't know it out of school, but you get on a project and someone tells you, oh, we're having this weird like SAML error, we need to implement SAML for this particular client, and you're like, oh, what do I do? Oh my god. So part of the responsibility as a consultant, and I would say even as a software developer, is being able to read, comprehend, and know how to do high quality technical research, right? Being able to read documentation and be able to digest it, and then be able to take those concepts and then apply them to whatever it is that you're working on. So it's basically like sort of fast tracking the learning that maybe you have in college. But then, of course, you have peers around you that you can ask questions, you can ask for help. A lot of them, have experience working with these tools. So if there's a particular thing that you don't understand, you can reach out to them and say, hey, can you explain this to me in a little bit more detail? So it's having the willingness to learn, and then being able to do that high quality technical research. And then, of course, just by doing it, right? Being able to take that, tinker with it, experiment with it, implement it yourself. That will give you a very, very solid understanding for how this particular thing works. And really, I think, helps fast track that learning even more. If you've already have good understanding and a good way of doing that technical research, then once you've actually sat down and experimented with the tool, then you can figure out, oh, okay, this is how it works. I this is more clear to me now. I understand this, right? So it's just really comes down to a willingness to learn, I would say.
Yep, and yeah, like I said, I think you said it right. That willingness to learn is a huge aspect in terms of like, it's even beneficial for the individual themselves. Like even they have a deeper understanding. Even if let's say they leave that company that was requiring you to know that specific framework, you still know that framework, and you can even utilize it in maybe another company that you may be going to, or even like on your own work. So yeah, I think that's a very key aspect that you covered. I guess a question for myself, I guess to Grace, is how come, or even to both of you, how come you guys chose, Liferay to, I guess, as your home or your place the place that you guys want to like work at and even maybe improve?
Oh, I love that you use the word home. That's I would say that's literally why I chose. This is super cliche. I have a lot of candidates that ask me also like, why did you choose Liferay? My first answer is the mission, which we've already talked about. And the second really is the people. A lot of things that you're hearing today is like community, collaboration, right? And then even our interns who are only really with us for 12 weeks, that's something they also noticed was collaboration, community. So it's depending on, your role, you definitely have to be collaborative. I have the privilege to get to sit with all types of departments throughout Liferay. So global services with Noemi's team, but also sometimes marketing or information services or support. So I really get to see, a little bit into the subcultures within the greater Liferay. And I will tell you, it's the same everywhere. It's collaborative in all the departments I've worked with, even the ones I haven't worked with and maybe just had, a few conversations. It's really easy to strike up a conversation. Obviously, it's the pandemic, so it's not as easy to strike a conversation as it was in the office. But we use Slack, and if you have a question about something, you really can ask anyone. Previous also, it was easy to strike up a conversation with senior leadership, but again, it's still easy to do that. If you have a question, you can definitely reach out. So I just love how flat the structure is at Liferay. It really doesn't matter what your title is. You really, I feel like there's truly a sense of belonging. So I've noticed that throughout the interview process, like previous, but being actually a part of it is, I think, speaks a lot for me. And then, Noemi, I would love to hear, why you chose Liferay.
Yeah, so Grace already took one of my reasons. The people was an obvious choice for me. I think our HR department, Miss Grace, they all do a wonderful job of recruiting people who all have sort of the same vision, and we align, a lot in what we want to bring to the table and the sense of, community and wanting to help one another. So I think that is definitely one of the things, because like Grace was saying, you could go talk to anybody and you know why they're there, right? You understand why they're a good fit for Liferay, and you're just happy to be along for the ride. For me, outside of people, I think it's just the work that I get to do as a consultant. I have previous experience at a different consultancy, and working at Liferay as a consultant is very different. I would say in a good way, from that previous position. I think it's just, again, it comes down to the people, right? We all want to serve our customers better, and we want to, collaborate with them to come up with a solution that works, that, ticks all the boxes, and, we can bring that to the table. And so for me, I think that's also part of it, right? It's just that everyone is on the same page. We all kind of want to achieve the same thing.
Yeah. And something I will add is, I know we're talking about consulting, or the consulting division of Liferay. We typically talk about it because that's where our internship is held. But if you're not interested in consulting, we do have positions that are non-consulting related. So sometimes we're hiring associate software engineers or mid-level. We don't have it this year, but maybe next year we might have technical support internships or front-end developer internships. So we're right now focusing on consulting, but we do have other opportunities in software development that doesn't have to be consulting focused.
Right. Yeah, that's very excellent that you guys try to, bringing in people that in a well-rounded way, get people with, different skills and into like different positions, whatever they're fit for. That's great that you guys are able to, take whoever in that has the skills that you guys need. Tuan asked, do you hire new graduate positions? If you guys are, what are some of the competitive packages you offer?
So we do not have like a new grad program, like a formal new grad program, but we do oftentimes hire associate level positions. So if you ever go on our website, our careers page, you can check out our different openings. Right now, we do not have any associate positions. One of the reasons why we highlight the internship is because that is a gateway to an associate consultant role. But yeah, it depends on the openings really. So last year we hired 3 entry-level positions outside of global services or consulting. So it depends on headcount and the need. Right now, for example, if you go on a careers page, it's a mix of business or go-to-market positions, and a lot of them are senior level. So that answers your hopefully your first question. In terms of your second question, I mean, we do have a base salary. Our internships are paid. And then I'll just give you a quick overview. I won't go too much into detail, but we do offer 100% of your medical, your dental, vision is voluntary, and then PTO is pretty, I would say, pretty great. We offer 17 days, plus 5 days to volunteer, plus 10 company holidays. I'm not sure if you're familiar, since you guys are not in industry, I'm not sure if you're familiar with rollovers, but we also roll over our PTO. So if you don't use all 17 days, you can still roll over to the next year. We do have a cap of 40 days, but that's to, use your PTO. We're encouraging you to use your PTO. So yeah, I mean, I would say our benefits package, that's like a quick summary. We do have other benefits, but I won't go too much into detail, but if you have additional questions, you can definitely reach out.
Wow, I mean, you may be sort of drawing me to the company, maybe a couple years, but we'll just see.
Yeah, everyone, please add both of us on LinkedIn. And if you want to chat with us, we're happy to chat. We love talking to students. That's why we're here. We definitely miss being in person and getting to meet students face to face.
Yeah, definitely. I guess another question for me, maybe to Noemi, and I'm not sure if you're able to answer it, but I'll just go ahead and ask it anyways, is I guess what are some of like the current project or projects you are working on like right now, like maybe in terms of improvements to your current services or maybe potentially adding one?
Yeah, so I can answer that. Might have to filter a little bit of the details, but it's okay. So I'm currently working on a project with our marketing team right now. I'm actually functioning as the technical lead for that. So right now we're in the middle of gathering requirements. So this is for a demonstration. So we're basically working on our latest version of the portal, which is 7.3. We are using that and our commerce offering as well. So we're using, I think, version 3 of commerce to put together a demonstration for marketing. We are also using Analytics Cloud. So all of these tools, again, working in concert with one another to provide like a unified customer experience. So basically what my role is I am helping the developers prioritize their tasks, removing blockers for them, helping them gather requirements, making sure that all of the tickets on our Jira board are organized in a way that our PMs and other stakeholders can come in and take a look at the status of our work. So a lot of my job is sitting on calls, hashing out these sort of requirements and things like that for the developers with our project stakeholders. And then the other half of my job that isn't related to gathering requirements and interacting with stakeholders is working with the developers directly, right? As I mentioned earlier, removing their blockers. So if that's, providing them additional technical context or helping them work through a bug or something that they've discovered, that's part of my role as well. Helping design the implementations for the solutions that we're building out. That's another big one. And then just doing PR reviews, right? So whenever code is ready, I go in there, do the review, give my feedback and everything like that. So really being a technical lead is wearing a lot of hats. So that is the project that I'm currently on. Those are kind of my tasks, and that's sort of what I'm doing at the moment. I'm also wrapping up another project where we did an upgrade for a customer on their internal portal. So they upgraded from an older version of our portal, I think it was 6.2 to 7.2. So it's quite a large jump. So that was a lot of converting code from the old portal implementation that they were using with the Spring framework and everything like that. So had to relearn some Spring things for that to be able to convert their code properly and everything like that. So wrapping that project up in the next week or so. So yeah, they're keeping me busy.
Well, I guess you might have to take some time off after that busyness.
Oh yes, time off would be very, very nice. I'm actually off next week, so it's
Oh,
a
that's
bonus.
great. That's great. That's great. Well, I mean, I'll probably wait, or I'll see if anyone has any more questions. But in the meantime, if you guys would like to check out more about Liferay, Ricky actually posted Liferay links in the chat about their website, and they even have a culture video if you guys, I guess, really want to see how the culture is, and even the career page. So you guys can consult to those websites for more information on if you guys are interested in probably applying for an internship or whatever they need. You guys can go ahead and consult those links. And if there's not any more questions, thank you both, Grace and Noemi, for joining us. I know I appreciate it, as well as our members. We always appreciate when you guys and as well as other speakers give us valuable information about the industry. It helps us a lot. And we also appreciate having a CPP alumni join us in this.
My pleasure.
Yes, yes.
I love doing events at Cal Poly, so I'm always down.
She's always there. She's
Oh,
my
really?
number one
Yeah.
contact. So.
Yep. Every time there's something happening at Cal Poly, Grace is like, oh, "Do you want to come?" And the answer is always yes. Like she doesn't
Yeah,
even need to
always
ask.
yes.
You just need to give me the day. I'll be there.
Yeah, and you can't tell, but we're both wearing Liferay swag actually. So this is a Stay Nerdy jacket, and then Nomi's wearing a Liferay polo.
Nice. Yeah, way to rep the company. I see.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everyone as well as our members for joining us. We really appreciate when you guys come out. And we just wanted to say, have a great break, take it easy and stay safe. And we'll see you after the break ends.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us. Bye.
Yeah.